Natural. Natural process, dry process, unwashed, or natural sun-dried all refer to the same method of processing that usually involves drying coffee cherries either patios or raised beds in the sun. This process, which can take 3 to 6 weeks normally, is the more traditional method of processing coffee. After the cherries have been dried to the optimum level, they are sent to mills to separate the seeds from the rest of the dried fruit, otherwise known as being hulled. Natural coffee process tends to have complex fruity notes like berry and citrus, full-bodied and sweet. Washed. Washed or wet process. In this method, the cherries are removed from the seeds before the drying process. To do this, the cherries are first sorted to ensure consistent ripeness levels, and then are run through depulpers machines that squeeze the cherries until the seeds pop out. Then the seeds and skins are separated, and the seeds move into tanks where they go through either a ferment and wash method or a machine-assisted wet process to remove the rest of the mucilage, the remaining fruit, to clean the seeds before they are dried. In a ferment and wash process, the remaining mucilage is broken down by microbes and yeast via fermentation, and then is washed with water again to remove the mucilage from the seeds. After the seeds are washed, they are dried in the sun on patios, raised beds, or in machines. Washed coffee beans tend to have more consistent flavor. They often lighter-bodied than natural coffee beans and tend to have bright and clean taste. Honey process. Pulp natural or honey process is a method in which coffee cherries are picked and sorted, have their skins and pulps removed like other types of coffee, but are then dried without washing off the sticky sweet outer layer of the fruit, called mucilage. During the honey process, as the coffee is drying, the sticky coating on the outside of the beans oxidizes and darkens in color, beginning a golden yellow color. Coffee which is stopped at this point is referred to as yellow honey process coffee. Allowing the coffee to continue fermenting, the mucilage further oxidizes to a red and finally a black color. The more fruit is left on the bean, the darker the color as well. Black honey processed coffee can also have more fruit left on the bean during the drying process than yellow honey coffee. Honey processed coffees tend to be more complex than their washed analogs, but not as fruity as natural coffees. It has also a good clarity, medium-high acidity. Anaerobic fermentation. Anaerobic fermentation occurs when oxygen is removed from the equation. This process rapidly changes the coffee fruit, resulting in a flavor much different than traditional fermentation methods. This is done by sealing the intact coffee cherries or the depulped cherries in containers with water for a certain amount of hours before they are dried. This can be done many ways, but the easiest way to understand it is with the use of a barrel. The coffee is sealed inside of a barrel and filled with water, with a one-way exit valve on the top. As the naturally occurring yeast interacts with the sugars of the coffee fruit, carbon dioxide begins to be released and creates pressure. This pressure pushes any remaining air out of the valve on the top. When oxygen is removed, yeast is forced to consume the sugars in the fruits in order to produce energy. This chemical reaction releases enzymes and can completely change the chemical composition and ultimately the flavor of the coffee. Anaerobic coffees are known for their complexity, with notes of fruit, floral, and wine-like flavors. They are often described as having a sweeter taste and a smooth mouthfeel. The process also results in a lower acidity compared to other types of coffee.